Barnes, and this is Jonathan McKinney.
Hello.
And you are listening to another episode of Siren Stories, the podcast, with me and him, and we are talking about episode 3. I'm never good at remembering what episode number it is. I think it's 3. Episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus's Marvel's TV show.
Yes.
Marveling.
Nicely put.
Thank you. I thought that was quite smooth, actually. I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is episode 3. So we've watched the introduction of Sam, Falcon, Bucky, Winter Soldier, them dealing with the loss of Cap, the blip. We've had the introduction of the flag smashers, who want to return everything to the way it was during the blip.
Yeah, but it's unclear how they intend. They don't want to kill half the people again.
No, it's unclear as of yet. We've had the introduction of the new Cap, which is John Walker.
That is correct.
And his sidekick, Wingman, Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica, yes.
And this episode, we've had the introduction of Baron Zemo and Sharon. I mean, not the introduction, the reintroduction of Zemo and Sharon
into this series.
Yeah. So, should we do the rundown of the episode?
Yes, let's do a rundown.
Then we'll do what we liked, then we'll do what we didn't like, and then thoughts and theories.
Okay.
So the show opens on the, what's it called? The reintegration...
It's a 3-letter organisation.
It's like the blippant ones being reintegrated. Repatriation.
Yeah.
It's the Blippening Repatriation Society.
It's it's not society, is it? It's something like the Global Repatriation Organization.
Repatriation.
I feel like it's GRC. So Global
Committee?
Repatriation
Clientele?
Committee. Sounds possible, yeah.
Sounds cool.
Or something beginning with a C. Should we just give it a quick goog?
Give it a googs.
So you talk about...
Just vamp.
You vamp, please.
I'm very vampy. I'm known for my vampitiveration.
Yes, you are known for your vampitiveration.
You're not typing.
I'm type. Oh, it's not coming up.
Smoots.
Winter Soldier.
Put repatriation.
Repatriation. So, the Global Repatriation Council.
It's interesting you say repatriation. Is that because that's how the Americans pronounce it?
I don't know.
It's fair enough. So yeah, the Global Repatriation Council. So we get the little advert for that and what they're doing.
Starship Troopers-esque government advert.
Have they shut Batman out?
So now I'll vamp while the cats play a game of who can be the biggest dickhead. So yeah, we get this government approved sort of warm and fuzzy advert for the GRC.
Yeah.
And you go ahead.
Yeah, so it's very sort of, it reminded me of, in Firefly, when they have the things all about what is the main place called where the baddies are?
Well, there's the Central Planets, but do you mean the Alliance?
The Alliance. It reminds me of what the Alliance put out about what the Alliance is like, very sort of overly.
Yeah, which is why I mentioned Starship Troopers as well.
See, I never liked that, so I can't remember.
Okay, fair enough. But it has a similar thing to this.
Yeah. You know what else this episode reminded me of? It reminded me so much of Alias.
Ah.
You know when he's talking about Zemo escape? Zemo escaping.
Yeah.
And he's doing the voiceover while it's happening. I'm like, that is Marshall doing the voiceover of how Sydney's going to break in or out of a place. And then they have all the scenes in the nightclubs with the dish music and like the sort of spying going on and when he's trying to pretend to be somebody else and he's trying to do it even though it's like difficult.
You're right. Yeah.
It was so Alias. I loved it. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just like, dish, go spy.
Good.
Thank you. So we have them like busting Zemo. It's not Zemo.
We've got to talk
Zemo.
about. Can we talk about the GRC introduction first? Because
of course, crack on.
From the warm and fuzzy government message about the GRC, you get the mission with the GRC written on the van and the new Captain America's in there. I appreciated the immediate juxtaposition from like, look how concerned we are for you. to no, what we really are is we're a bunch of toughs who, batter you into agreeing to this.
Yeah, I agree. It was. You're sorry, I got all overexcited to go ahead to the bit that I was excited by, the alien
reasonable
stuff. But yeah, I enjoy that, and I enjoy that we're seeing New Cap.
Yeah.
Like being a bit of an asshole.
Yes.
Because it's like they told you that was coming. And they, like, you mean the way he was sort of like, oh, don't get in my way. Like they were saying, like this guy is going to get a bit of a tood on him.
Yeah.
And again, like with this show, if they tell you something's going to come, if they're going to address an issue, they let straight away, bam, he's being a dick.
Do you think there's a very sort of subtle statement about the white-skinned sort of European or American strident young man? Not he and Lamar Battlestar both have the opportunity to learn foreign languages, right? But he doesn't. The Captain America doesn't. He gets his black wingman to do it for him when he needs a translator. I just wondered because I'm starting to think I'm starting to look for statements.
I agree.
And it just felt a little bit. It felt a little bit like the entitlement to idleness that he probably has. Like you don't get English speakers don't typically. I mean, including myself.
Because he's not idle. Because he's a really well decorated.
No, but in terms of reaching out to another culture and we don't learn foreign languages as English speakers very well.
No, we don't. I mean, we're taught them in school, but you're right. It's not common to be fluent, whereas people in other countries tend to be much better versed in English. Yeah.
And I just wondered if there was to go along with last week where he busted Bucky out of his therapy obligations. Bucky kind of needed those. He wasn't finished with therapy, but he just claimed Bucky in that moment, and I'm trying to sort of.
I agree because obviously they are addressing race issues.
Yeah, but not just that, but also like the kind of personality that John Walker has.
Yeah.
Which is common and not necessarily like an evil thing. Like it's just the cats. Let's just ignore him, right? John Walker's not necessarily an evil, but I feel like he's just had a lot of things handed to him that other people have had to work for.
Yeah, I agree.
And still wouldn't be able to have. Battlestar, clearly Lamar, he did some extra work and learned foreign languages so as to be
worthy of being the wingman to the
guy who doesn't have to.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really interesting point. That is a really good point. Yeah, I agree.
It's not like, it's innocuous in and of itself. A character doesn't speak the other language, so he gets the translator. You see it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you do, absolutely.
But it wouldn't be him. And you saw in the first episode, and I'm just thinking about this now, but Sam spoke Arabic.
Yeah.
When he was sat having a conversation in a foreign language.
Yeah, he was.
Do you remember when he was fixing Red Wing?
Yeah, he did.
He spoke somebody else's native language, and the Torres character, who was in his sort of his sort of wingman, I suppose, was like, "Oh, you speak whatever." I didn't know that.
That's interesting. They're obviously making a bit of a statement because, otherwise he wouldn't do it that much. Like, you might do it as a sort of observation of the fact that Sam is very competent and articulate and advanced in terms of what he's able to do. On its own, I think that's just a quick acknowledgement of Sam's competence.
Yeah.
But then when you do it again, but with the guy who's
got his job,
it's
because he's got the right skin colour, but he's not. Yeah. Just ignore the cats, Podlovians. They are just loud.
They are not normally this.
They're always a gang of pricks
on
at
the
this time.
podcast time they are.
Oh,
but
yeah,
in the day they just sleep.
They behave like cats.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a really interesting statement, and I think we should look out for that more. Just acknowledgements of similar sort of things, because they're going to obviously make statements in this show. I think. I wonder if that'll put up the hackles of the people who hate it when TV shows are woke.
Well, the thing is, it's very subtle.
It is
like
subtle.
having. I mean, we're looking for things. We might be putting up people's hackles by looking for meaning in these things.
Yeah, you're right.
But
right,
I don't think the show on its own would. Oh, I don't mind either, Pavlovian. If you are offended
Because we aren't actually very woke. We're just interested in what people's stories are.
We're not. Well, I mean, what is? Everybody's got a perspective. But we're not. We're kind of receptive to the fact that people of different skin colours have different experiences in the world.
Yeah, that's like
if a listener is a white skinned person who doesn't agree with that and thinks it's woke sort of political correctness or nonsense or whatever.
That's fine. You just crack on. So after that,
I disagree. But yeah, so it's just to finish the point though, it is entirely innocuous in and of itself that he doesn't speak this guy's language. Nobody, not even Sam, doesn't speak everybody's language. But you take the two incidents together, and
Sydney
you've got
does.
Sydney speaks lots of languages. Yeah. And then you've got two men, considered by the audience of this show for the same job. One just doesn't feel a need to learn a different language. He's Team America, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's really interesting. So after that, we go to Zemo and the busting out. And I really, really, I literally did an LOL. I laughed out loud because they bust him out, and he's like, he's telling him Sam's like, this is all a bit too sort of, as Bucky's describing how Zemo might break out. Yeah. And when Zemo pops up, and him and Bucky are having this argument, and he's like, oh, sorry, apologies.
Yeah, apologies.
It's very funny. It's very just, I'm like, oh my god, we're taking this sort of buddy cop type, opposite people, and we're throwing another one in who's another personality. And also, it's like, I just really enjoyed the dynamic between the three men. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. It was just, it was funny. And as I said, I really enjoyed the Zemo busting out narration by Bucky Sitch, because that is total me nip.
Yes, it is.
I love things like that. So that was great. And so talk about what happens next, because I'm just rambling.
So Baron Zemo, we don't call him that quite yet, but we do in this episode. He takes them to his airplane.
Yes.
And his Alfred.
Yeah, his Alfred. I loved that as well. I thought that was a lot of fun. And if it doesn't pass the smell test, give it to Dean. He's like, oh, I missed you, sir. And it's fun because he's like a baddie.
Yeah, but it get much like a lot of the baddies in the Marvel at the moment. They are baddies he's a baddie with a point of view.
Yeah, and he's a completely, because I didn't remember much about him. I remembered his face, I remembered his name, but I wasn't like, oh, I know all this, and this about this guy. I just knew he was a baddie. And he's obviously a baddie, the way he tests Bucky by saying the numbers again, and you know what I mean? He's not, he's not a Steve Rogers.
What he is he's a powerful man, right? And he is someone who accomplishes things. So he killed, as we deal with in this episode, he killed T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, at the, big, Sokovia Accords summit meeting thing in Civil War.
The big explosion.
Yeah, because the big two movies of superheroes fighting each other that summer, that year, both had big explosions in government buildings.
I agree, yeah.
Which is strange. But, So he did that. That is a villainous thing to do.
Exactly, he is a bad guy, but in his own setting, his Alfred, hair,
I don't know, whatever,
something, I can't remember, but he really likes and respects his boss. He thinks he's funny. He's happy, and it's not fake. He's he's very affectionate towards this man, and you can see why, because he's charming, he's funny, he's confident, he's intelligent, he's handsome, he's easy to sort of, the way he is, he's very natural. And when he's like, oh, apologies, it isn't with any sort of hostility. It's not how dare you, tell me to stop speaking. He's just like, oh, fair enough, you're in the middle of a thing, I'll wait. He's not a dominating, aggressive personality. He's quite, he's an easy personality.
He's quite an inviting character.
Exactly. So I really enjoy that. As you say, I enjoy villainous characters
who
being
he
humanized.
Is Spike. When Spike first starts teaming up with...
Yeah, I agree.
We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer again.
I agree. It's sort of bad guy.
You're not supposed...
Sam... easy charm.
the way Sam treats Zemo in this is exactly the way that Xander treats Spike.
Yeah, like, no,
you're not supposed to be here.
I'm not buying this. I'm not taken in by this. Yeah, I agree. It's really good. So then they get to the club, and...
The club. So first of all, they go to Madripoor, which is like...
I'm totally getting ahead to the bit I was enjoying again, aren't I? I'm just skipping.
Right.
I'm just like, oh, the club with the snake. It's gross.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I am jumping ahead because I'm getting
on the plane,
overexcited.
they discuss where they're going. It's Madripoor,
yes,
I think it is.
Which is where Carly and the flag smashes are.
Yeah, and also Sharon Carter, but also... The way it's set up, it feels very much like it's a Marvel place. Like Sokovia.
I agree.
Not a real place in the world that we live in.
I don't recognise the name
at all. Not a place that's
all.
made up for this show, but a place that they've taken from comic books. I don't know if it is or not. I've never heard of it before.
No, I don't recognise it at all. I'm not the most well-travelled or like geographically knowledgeable person, but I have a relatively good knowledge of names of countries and famous cities.
I feel like the explanation of what it's like there would have been a little bit more diplomatic if it was a real place.
I agree.
Because they basically describe it as like a pirate cove.
Yeah.
Where anything goes, it's the Wild West.
Yeah, Sharon's like, yeah, they don't extradite here. Like that's why she's picked it, because she knows that like it's dangerous. Like they're like, why would you choose Olivia? And you know what I mean? It's obviously dangerous, but she's like, no, they can't get rid of me here, so I'm staying. They obviously also don't stop you moving there because.
Well, I mean, I suppose they would have done if they could have done.
Yeah, I guess, but
she slipped away. So
yeah, just interesting. So after. Is it then the club with the gross snake?
Well, first of all, they get into character and they walk along the bridge towards...
I like when he's talking... Like, we talked about the race thing, and he's like, you're the African, like, this, and the smiling tiger. So even the nickname's shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's obviously like, oh, of course I'm the African this.
Well, he says, like, why... He says something about how... He's the only one who has to dress like a pimp.
Yeah.
And again...
like when he's Zemo, like, I can't run in heels.
I can't run in these heels. Zemo says to him that only in America would a fashion-forward black man be considered a pimp. And it's like, he's got an interesting perspective. Like, he talks about the album that Sam recommended to Captain
Marvin
America.
Gaye.
He describes it as like the the absolute depiction of African American experience in America, right?
Yeah, and Sam's like, he's offensive, but he's not wrong.
He's out of line, but he's not wrong. Yeah, so it's interesting that they give this fella a insight into being black in America and in the rest of the world.
Yeah,
by these two comments that he makes.
And it's really interesting because it's very non-judgmental as well. When he says, like, only in America would a fashion-forward black man be considered a pimp, he's sort of like, I'm not judging that. I wouldn't see this negatively.
Well, he's saying that's America's problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's very sort of...
And he's allowed to say that because he's not an American person.
Yeah, he's very sort of... Yeah, I agree. An interesting... Almost calling out Sam for...
Sort of.
Judging.
Or at least the American in Sam.
Yeah, and whereas he's just like, no, I'm not judging, like, if you want, like, this is a fashion-forward choice, like, it's fine.
He's not afraid of a statement himself.
Yeah, exactly, with his big coat, like...
Yeah.
He's an interesting character. The more I watched this guy, the more I was like... We said this with all the other characters, like, we didn't get enough of them. I didn't feel anything towards these guys. Like, I didn't feel anything towards Sam. I mean, I did. I mean, more Sam. The one I felt most towards was Sam because of the relationship with Captain America, the on your left. Like, you know,
he was never
like the point.
No.
He was a side character. So I feel like from this show, I now like Zemo is one of my favorite characters now, and I'd have been like, which one's he again?
Yeah.
But from one episode,
he's a lot more serious in Civil War, and I think you could probably argue that that's because it's recent that he lost his father or his family or someone. But he's not quite as much of a fun-loving cheeky chappy as he is now.
I enjoy the cheeky chappy quality. Yeah. It's like I enjoy Bucky so much more because I like a grumpy, snarky sort of, but good sense humour, sort of good-humoured grump.
is
definitely my type, which is lucky for you, really.
Thank you. I don't know why he didn't age. I don't understand that.
No.
I don't feel like it's really been explained.
Unless super soldier serum.
But does he have that?
Oh, maybe not. I thought he did.
I know there's probably an explanation in the Winter Soldier that we just never, because I haven't seen that in years.
Last time I saw it was before we watched Infinity War.
Yeah. So 20.
No, before we watched
Endgame.
It was Endgame, because we watched Infinity War right before we went to see Endgame.
Yeah. Well, we watched all of them.
I mean, we watched that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'm not sure, but I like him very much more in this episode, in this series, and all of them. And I think Zemo is a great introduction. I'm really enjoying watching more with him. I think that's great.
Yeah.
So then they meet. Oh, then they go into the club, and he's like, "Whatever you do, whatever you do, you have to not break character. Because if you break character." We're all dead. So you've got to stay in character. I was like, as soon as they say that, you're like, okay, there is going to be testing. So poor Bucky obviously has to just try and pretend to be the Winter Soldier again. He has to go into full Robot Man mode. And he's obviously in a lot of pain. He doesn't like it. And Zemo, I keep calling him Zumo.
Zumi.
Zemo is taunting him a bit. He's like, look how naturally he slips back into it. He is a bit of a twat. But Sam, and he's like, you're not your usual smiling tiger. It's a really bad nickname.
Smiling tiger. Yeah.
And he's like, just sort of lets him do it, and he gets this poor snake. And he guts it and hoinks out an organ. And dumps it in a shot glass, and Sam's like, he's like, yeah, if I break character, we're all gonna die, so I've got to just drink this snake organ tequila or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Because there's usually a worm in tequila, so I assumed it was tequila. Giant worm.
Yeah, snake parts.
Snake part tequila. But yeah, I was like, oh god, I don't think I could. I think I would get us all killed because I couldn't swallow that.
He almost does later. So,
yeah, that's true. But yeah, so he drinks his snake goo. It's so grim. And he sort of shoots it back. The bartender's sort of watching him
So my curiosity on that, and it's a good way to test him, etc. But if the bartender knows what his usual is.
Yeah.
They don't look identical.
I agree.
I think if someone came into a bar saying that they were you, and they looked a lot like you, I wouldn't
Lisa
be like...
Loeb came in.
Sure, yeah. I would be like, hi, Judith. Do you want your usual? And she's like, yes. And I'd be like,
yes. That's how I speak to bartenders. Yes.
Well, that's her. That's an American woman or Canadian possibly doing an English accent. In this scenario where I'm the barman and Lisa Loeb has walked in and pretending to be you.
Okay, well, it would depend, right? Because I also had a theory on this. If he has a usual, he's obviously very famous.
So you think he's renowned for wanting this drink but not having had it here before?
Well, not even that. I reckon he probably has had it there. This is my theory, my working theory that is in my head, but you can obviously point out the flaws. Of course, I haven't sort of ironed it right.
Iron it.
My theory is he has drunk there before. The bartender has served him before. And he's he's well known for liking this. They keep the snake there, right? How many people?
It's not just in case he walks in. If it's just in case he walks in, then they definitely wouldn't believe it was him.
But
how many snakes have lived and died there? Just going it's quite nice here.
But how many people order snake? I mean,
it's a pirate bar.
Only if they can how many of those little organ nuggets has a snake got in it? Do they just give different innards?
I don't know what the...
Right, because either they harvest these snakes regularly, in which case, why wasn't there a gutted snake ready waiting because of all the harvesting?
Oh, they go through 50 snakes a night down in this place, Selby's bar.
Right, or they keep the snakes there in case the smiling tiger shows up, right? But
I wouldn't. I'd be like, sorry, smiling tiger, we don't have any snakes because you never come here.
But what if he... No, right. So, he does drink there, but... Because he did say, oh, actually, we look similar, right? It's dark, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of different bartenders.
See,
Maybe
I used
this
to work behind the bar,
is
right? Anyone who's the usual, I knew, right? I'd know if it wasn't actually them and it was just somebody who looked a bit like them. You know, Pete, who used to drink in Jocks of Brady's, right? He looks a bit like Ian Beale from EastEnders. But if Ian Beale walked into the pub while I was waiting, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, hi, Pete. What are you having your usual?" And he'd say, "Excuse me," because he's, a Cockney.
That was very good Cockney.
Pardon me. What the fuck are you talking about?
That was better.
Although he wouldn't swear, because on EastEnders they don't swear. And he would apparently still be in EastEnders despite being in my pub.
Okay, I agree. But also, you are a special brain.
Are you insinuating that the barman... No, I'm not
saying that he's, not intelligent. I'm saying you're a bit odd. Maybe you're...
I recognise people. I have this super strength that I use to ask people if they want their usual.
What if he only goes in once a year?
Then I wouldn't know the usual. That's what I'm saying.
But he's
if
famous.
If somebody came in once a year, even if they were famous.
No, it's like a law. If the smiling tiger comes in, you have to kill a snake.
And they've got a picture of him on the wall. Because you'd need, because we don't all know what he looks like. It's this guy on the wall. Okay, if he comes in, give him a usual, and it's a snake organ.
I agree. I have not
This isn't him.
My theory.
This is someone else who looks like him. He might want the usual. But the
point was, because he watches him, and he's giving him the old side eye. I'm like, maybe he's not sure, but because he drinks the snake gut goo, he's like, you must be him, because why would any fucker drink that if they weren't you? Him, Tiger Man. Right?
Sure. I mean, it doesn't.
It's a working theory.
Particularly
it's a working theory.
Like how my ability to identify human beings based on their appearances makes me a special brain. Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Oh, it's you. What a relief.
I just mean...
I thought Lisa Loeb was here for me.
I don't know if I worked at a bar, because I never worked a bar.
I was about to offer her a Pinot Grigio and a packet of salt and vinegar crisps, but then I realised...
I do like that. I mean... I don't know if I worked on a bar and it was a busy, busy club and there was loads and loads of people, because I'm not as good with people this year.
This is why customers ask for the drink that they want, because bartenders are not expected to know what everybody drinks. If you do know what somebody drinks, it's because you're familiar with them to the point that you recognise when it's them and not them.
Like the guys in the sun when we go in.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like the usual, a snake organ and another one. And we're like, no,
you're confusing us with the smiling tiger.
It happens all the time. It doesn't, does it?
Bucky has to do the winter soldiering.
He has to winter soldier a bit, yeah.
And batter people, and that gets him to Selby, and Zemo teases about easy how he slips into that, and then they get to go see Selby. You get to do your Cockney accents again now. Lovely. And she's very Cockney.
She's a powerful female woman in the pirate zone.
She is. And
that's how she identifies herself. That's her Facebook bio.
I am a powerful female
woman in the pirate zone.
Powerful female woman. As opposed to all the male womans.
Yeah, she's just double clarifying.
Fair enough. Good for you. Powerful female
She's
woman.
Dead now.
Oh, she is dead now. May she rest in peace.
We barely knew you.
And she tells them how to find the scientistman.
Yeah.
And then she gets shot.
She does, because Sam's sister calls and gives the game away.
Yeah, he's like, I am a big time.
Yeah.
And then she's like, put the Cheerios down. Yeah. And he's like, oh no. Yeah. And I'm like, I've had those phone calls when I want to have a serious conversation. I'm like, put the crisps down.
Yeah. You don't want the terrorists that you're interacting with to know.
Yes.
That you've got kids and they're being naughty.
My kids are always being naughty.
So frequently.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, so they start shooting.
So who shoots her? Because I didn't register that.
I can't remember, but I saw she got kablamoed.
She got shot, but I was having a very difficult watching experience of this episode.
You were.
So I didn't quite cock, like, who...
Excuse me? You didn't cock what?
I didn't quite...
Clock?
Yeah.
Okay. You said cock.
Oh, did I didn't quite... Clock.
Yes.
Who shot her.
Right, no, I can't remember, but one of them shot her. It would have been Bucky or it would have been...
Yeah, because
Zemo.
they say, like, shoot them because they work out. So, yeah. Probably Zemo then, because he's badass. So then they fight their way out.
Mm-hmm.
And they go off to the... Oh, and then they meet Sharon.
Yeah, well, it's outside, isn't it? They're on the run and then somebody's helping them and then they're like, what? And then she's like...
And I was like, oh, another person who we know. That's exciting.
Yeah, a female woman.
Another female woman.
She's a powerful female woman in the Pirate Cove too. In the Pirate Zone. So. Somewhere there's like pictures of her and Selby having drinks and having a good time. Selfies in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. So they go and they talk to Sharon.
Two powerful female women in the Pirate Zone.
And she tells them all about how she's moved there because she can't go home because she's wanted.
Because she stole the shield and she gave it to these two. And now she's stuck in the Pirate Zone.
In the Pirate Zone. So then they go to the place with the big... Oh no, we go to see Carly and her mum.
And she's looking like a redhead again.
She is. She goes to visit her mum who's got TB. And I find, well, I'll get on to what I don't like, but like she talks with the guy, she explains about how they want to give it all to the kids.
Yeah, she sure does. List all of the events that are pertinent to her and her motivations to this person who she knows and who knows them quite well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we go after them going into the containment units.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, they're going to get stuck on the Suez Canal.
Oh God.
I was like, oh my God, they're in containment units. It's like, what if they get like lifted onto a boat? I was like, because you know what I mean, like those are things like ready to get onto a haulier thing. So it was like, what if they get lifted on a boat?
Sure.
Anyway, so then they find Science Doctor Man.
Science Doctor Man, yeah.
Who is recreating the thing because he got blipped away and they shut him down. So he went off to
Pirate
Zone to recreate because of the power broker.
Yep.
Because he wants super soldier serum.
Yeah.
And
we know who the power broker is. Did we see the power broker?
I don't think so.
It might have been another powerful female woman.
It might have been another powerful female woman.
BFW.
And yeah, so then they shoot him.
Yes. Well, Nemo.
He's had a lot of names.
Nemo.
Don't drink and podcast, kids.
Or at all, kids, if you're kids. Nemo shoots him, and that's an unexpected turn.
Yeah, and outside, Sharon is battling with all the flag smashers.
Yes.
And she's been fucking
Wait,
badass.
no, they're not flag smashers.
Are they not?
Are the guard, like the goons from the Pirate Cove bar.
Oh, I thought they were... See,
because if they were flag smashers, she'd have been obliterated.
Oh, yeah, because they don't have enchanted masks, do they? They have super soldier serum.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because she says, like, when she first had the serum and it burned her veins, and I was like, that puts my magic mask... You know what I noticed, though, right, speaking of my magic mask theory...
Yeah.
Right, when Zumo goes to go and, like...
Nemo.
goes to go
Baron Nemo.
Like, blow them up and shit, right? He puts his mask on.
He does, yeah.
I'm like, why are all these people who literally don't need to use masks because they are not enchanted magical masks? Why are they... Like, he steals it off the back seat and he, like, secretes it away in his coat. And it's like... I'm like...
Maybe it's because of this, right? And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to thoughts and theories, right? I'm going to make a Jonathan McKinney prediction which doesn't come true, right? I like to do those.
Yeah.
Sam will become Captain America, but he will become Captain America without a mask.
Oh.
Right?
Because there's the whole
masks are significant in this.
It's really obviously, like, they keep putting them on.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, because John Walker is, like, always wearing his mask, and
he's not going to hide his face.
It's interesting, yeah.
That's what will happen, or at least it won't, because our theories never happen. What it'll be is, it'll be that Sam is Mephisto, and then...
Because, I'm, like, really noticing it. Like, they've confirmed that they're not enchanted masks. They've got super soldier serum. Zumo's there shoving his little mask in his pocket and then putting it on to, like, blast them. Like, why are they putting these masks on? I love your theory, because...
Sam's not going to wear a mask.
Sam's not going to wear a mask, but he's going to use the shield.
He's going to use the shield. He's going to be Captain America, but with no mask.
I like it. And also, because then he's also not hiding the fact he's black.
Yeah,
like, he's putting his whole... Like
obviously you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, of course, but he's not gonna hide.
He's like, no, I don't need to hide. I'm Captain America.
Yeah, I love that. I very much.
It's just a dog.
Gosh, these animals are killing me tonight. Yeah, I really like that theory. It's a really good theory.
I like my theory too.
Yeah. So then he zips out in the car.
Zemo.
I
said it right.
Well done.
So he's walking past one of the little boxes, and then he's like,
"Hello." I really enjoy him in this. Yeah, and he zips him out in a car, and then
you know who he's like as well? He's like Sark.
He is like Sark. More Alias.
Yeah.
I love Alias. Yeah.
Coming soon, the Alias podcast. When we have like 3 times more time in the day.
3 times fewer jobs.
Yeah.
So then what happens? Because they go off and they meet who's it from Wakanda?
Well, not yet. First of all, Sharon is like, no, I'm not coming with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my life here on Pirate Zone.
Yeah.
Madripoor or whatever.
Madripoor.
And but they drive off. They're like, look, well, we're in this now.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. We don't go back to John Walker, do we?
Mm-mm.
It's just that they are going to. They're going to go and meet someone, right? And Bucky says, "Oh, I'm going to go for a walk." Because he sees a little Black Panther.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you left something behind," and then she pops up, and I was like, "Oh, another person who we know."
And that is good because they mentioned at the beginning that the Wakandans weren't forgotten.
I agree.
And
they've also we've mentioned Wakanda before when he says, "I'm the White Wolf."
Yeah.
Like they are referencing it.
Yeah, which is true because Bucky would know them.
So I've got a question then.
Yeah.
Like, we do thoughts and theories. Do we know how they're dealing with the death of T'Challa? In the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No,
how are they...
No, I don't know.
Because I'm assuming
there's going to be another movie, but it'll probably... I don't know. I don't... To be honest, I don't really want to speculate about it.
No, I'm just curious because they're doing Wakanda. Like, I hadn't thought they would address it yet.
There's going to be a Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, they'll find a way to do something respectful.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I know. I was surprised when, obviously, like, the Wakandans became so... Like, that's going to be a big feature of this series because I assumed that they would give
maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, wow. I thought they would give that space a bit of time and go back into it when they are going to do like a big thing, but
I mean, I don't know, but we'll find out. I mean, it might even be the case that that's why it's this woman. Because the thing is, what from the storytelling point of view, that's nothing to do with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
it's consequences. It's the thing that we always talk about. It's like if you pretend that. Because you enjoy having Zemo on the team, if you just kind of conveniently forget his criminal history because it's fun to have him around, it does do an injustice to the fictional world that you're depicting. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it doesn't allow that to happen. It's like, if he's out, Wakanda, which is a powerful country, send sort of,
It makes, yeah, I agree. Story-wise, it absolutely makes sense, but I was surprised because I knew they were doing Black Panther 2. I assumed that that would be
There probably won't be a lot of talk about T'Challa.
It would just focus on...
Just like what Wakanda itself wants, rather than what the king wants.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I don't think they will say like something bad happened to T'Challa
because they can't do it
in Falcon and the Soldier.
I agree because it would unless it's so that they can, when they do Black Panther 2, they are going in as a complete new.
Well, Black Panther 2 will be more than a film anyway because of how incredibly beloved he was.
Yeah, I agree.
How impressive he was as this character, and the fact that he tragically died young. So.
It's going to be...
The film will be very...
commemorative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will. No doubt about it.
I agree.
And, kids won't notice. They'll just sort of get on board with the story the way they always do. But
I agree, but grown-ups are going to cry.
And yeah, like, not because of fictional things, but because of,
I think they will... but I was expecting, like, a real sort of, like... Yeah, me sort of ugly crying in the cinema if one day the cinemas are ever able to open again.
They will do.
Yeah. Anyway, so what did you like?
What did I like? So I wasn't. I liked everything well enough. There wasn't anything that particularly stood out. I liked all of the stuff with, like you say, the breakout of all the
Zemo. Alias-y stuff. 100%. I had a great time.
In the club stuff was entertaining, and I was having a good time. I like Bucky in this series a lot.
I do.
I was hoping for more of the Isaiah. It is Isaiah. We were saying Isaiah last time, but he says Isaiah. I was hoping for a bit more of him, Isaiah.
Well, Bradley. They reference him because he says...
That's why I was hoping for more, because he's in the previously on. So I was confused as to why he was in the previously on.
Because the scientist guy says, like, we had blood sample from a soldier who had enough of it left in his system, and we've seen that Isaiah has got it in his system still. So Isaiah has got it in his system still.
Yeah.
So that's why, because that's who he was referencing.
But yeah, so stuff that I liked, I would say I liked a lot of it. There's nothing that took my breath away or really stopped me and made me think. It was, a good 7 out of 10.
I kind of lost a lot of it in terms of the flow, because this is probably why I was jumping about so much in trying to remember it, because it was so disjointed how I watched it. It was an absolute monster of an attempt to watch it. Yeah, so I didn't really get the flow because of how difficult I found it. Not because the actual episode was difficult to watch, because of just the circumstances I was trying to get it watched in was adjust, and it took me an hour and a half to watch a 40-minute episode of TV. So it was really, really difficult. But the stuff that did stand out to me that I really loved was the spy stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff I didn't like was all the flag smasher stuff. I'm not connecting with that at all. I'm really not. Like, all the introduction of Zemo, the buddy cop, the sort of snipey, like, getting along but not liking each other shit. Live for that. Absolutely loved it. The chemistry between those actors is just all brilliant. Having a great time. I just can't connect with them.
The thing is, they've got an interesting goal.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, they're obviously well motivated. They've obviously got history. They've obviously got shit going on. Yeah. Like he says, like, they are giving food and medicines to vulnerable people. Like, no wonder they're getting the support. I get it. 100%. And I feel like what they are doing is, I'm like, yes, they're bad guys I'm connecting with. Like, they're not just bad guys.
But no, I agree that...
I'm just really not...
The moment when she sat there and talked through everything that had happened to her and what now motivates her, I was like, well, okay,
who knows this?
At a very basic level, your story is helped by the audience knowing this. But there is no circumstance in real life wherein that conversation would take place. Because, it would be like me saying to you, as though there's a camera on me, why I want the job that I want, and why I work hard for it, and you being just sitting there and listening to it and not being like, I know, we talked about this a million times. Do you need to get this off your chest for some particular reason? Why are you saying this now?
I agree,
Carly?
And, like, we do have those conversations. We do talk about the stuff that matters to us.
But we do it to remind ourselves, to sort of replant ourselves in our
goals. Don't give up, don't stop, because this is why it matters. I agree. And, like...
It just plays like
It just seemed like she was...
She might as well just look at us and say it straight to us.
I agree. So I'm really hoping that it will all sort of become real clear and I'll get it, because it's the only bit of the show that I don't connect with. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, it's fine.
It is badly written because the guy she's talking to, he has no agency at all. He is you could replace him with anyone at all, and it wouldn't make any difference because it's really just about what is driving Carly, right? The way you fix the scene, and it doesn't have to take any longer than it gets in this version, is you just root it in a conflict of, you know, you have him losing faith in what they're doing, and she then has to go through the reasons why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. If he was like, why are we doing it? I can't do this anymore. It's not worth it. And then she could be like, because of this, you know why.
Yeah.
But without saying you know why, but like being like, I agree.
Then it comes out naturally, and the audience gets to care about it through this guy who's losing faith and this character, this woman who hasn't lost faith. There's interesting conflict in that relationship then. Whereas as it is, she just says it all for no fucking reason, and it is badly written. I was thinking while I was watching it, I could have done a better job immediately.
You needed to go over, I agree.
A second pass. And it's kind of strange to me that it didn't get one, because we're not unique.
No.
And it just the fact is there is no conflict. It's just information, and you can fix it by just coming up with a reason why to solve conflict.
Has to come out.
She has to say the same shit.
Yeah.
And it could easily just be that he's losing faith in what they're doing.
I agree.
Based on events that have got them where they are, and then you get the information, but you get it through, you know, it being a soothing sort of resolution to his anxiety, which we then empathise with him and therefore want that information too. Whereas as is, we're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like everything else, I had a really good time with. And as I say, this episode was real good for me in terms of the alias-y spy stuff.
Yeah.
Thoughts and theories, right? We are going to see Isaiah again, obviously. Isaiah. I keep doing that.
It's all right. Zumo, Nemo, and Isaiah are having a lovely time.
I'm not good with names. Yeah, I want him to get resolution. Because at the minute, he's obviously unhappy and been betrayed and treated terribly, and he deserves recognition. He deserves acknowledgement for what happened to him. Yeah.
Do you think, does Captain America know about him? I think Bucky says that he doesn't.
Steve Rogers?
Steve Rogers, Captain America, not the new one.
I think not.
I think Bucky said that Steve didn't know. I agree that there is apparently a comic book all about this guy called Truth, right?
Oh, really?
Where Marvel retconned Captain America and planted this guy before him. So acknowledging, again, in a kind of owning up to their own history being, it must be a blonde-haired white man.
Right.
That they
interesting.
tested the super serum on black people, on black men first, because you wouldn't
test it on the blonde-haired white man.
Yeah.
Good. Good for acknowledging some stuff there.
And then that's who this guy is. So, like, I'm not at this point diving into the Marvel Unlimited comic books.
I always try to avoid any spoilery.
Well, that wouldn't be again spoilery, but I've not done that. But if I do, I will read that. But I'll wait and see if that's going to be relevant to this story, because I only have so much time.
Yeah. Yeah. I really want to enjoy more of the three guys together.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I know he says, like, Zima, you're going back to prison.
Yeah.
Jail. And he's like, but not yet, because we need you.
We've got a great sort of conflict in the making now with Wakanda showing up.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got every right to... there's a line in one of the new Suicide Squad trailers, right? And it reminds me of this Baron Zemo. There's the guy who's called Peacemaker, apparently, and he's in the Suicide Squad, right? And you know what the Suicide Squad is, right?
Yeah. The baddies who were
forced to do good, and if they don't, their heads blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I cherish peace. This is Peacemaker, right? In this James Gunn film. He says, I cherish peace with all my heart, and I will kill I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it, right? And that's obviously a very sort of blunt characterization, but I get a bit of that from
Zemo.
Not that he's necessarily cherishes peace, but he clearly is a Lex Luthor type guy who doesn't like the superpowered.
Yeah, and he's very sort of like, if super serum was spread around, they could create a race of soldiers like the Avengers.
Yeah, and that's what he sees. He sees the end of his species. He's essentially, it is very Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor hates Superman because he is unattainable as a human being. And Zemo has a bit of that about him. And so when he killed the guy, Nagel, the scientist, that was not a surprise at all.
Yeah, because he's like, you're trying to create more of these people.
Yeah, it was, and I'm not saying it like, oh yeah, I'm smart, I saw it coming. Like, I knew immediately he was going to kill him, because he'd said that's his sort of, his big line in the sand is that he just doesn't want super
soldiers. Yeah,
super soldiers. He thinks that's the absolute worst.
I agree. Like, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see where it goes. I'm really enjoying it. I want to next week be able to just watch it. We're gonna have to do something where we like wrangle our lives.
Do what I do. Just put some headphones on and ignore the kids for the 45 minutes.
I cannot.
Well, it's hard.
They swing upon me.
I had to pause a bunch of times, but not as many times as you did when you were trying to do it in the kitchen.
God, yeah. So we will be back again next week.
Yeah, nothing else to say? I think we've covered it all.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. Again, don't forget, if you go to www.sirenstories.co.uk, there is links in the description for this podcast. You'll find everything that we've got going on over there. You can also subscribe to that website. It's completely free. You don't get pestered all the time with loads of emails. You just get the occasional little one that comes out, but it's very, very rare. And you get entered into the monthly giveaway every single month, absolutely free, to win free stuff. So it's very worth doing. And you can find out all the people who are doing work over at Siren Stories. There's going to be more podcasts coming out, not just on this feed. There's going to be other podcast feeds as well with more different people. And yeah, there's YouTube if you want to do that. There's books, there's music, there's just loads of stuff. It's very good. You can find all kinds of entertaining things over there. And you can come and chat to us on social media. So come find us and say hi. And we will be back next week with more Falcon, Winter Soldier and Nemo.
Yeah. And then going forward, I think that the Black Widow film is being released.
Onto streaming.
Onto streaming and into cinemas.
Both.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Kong as well.
Yeah.
It depends. If cinemas are open where you are in the world, then it'll be there. But otherwise, it'll be on your streaming thing. I think. I haven't checked that news properly, but Black Widow is coming out soon.
Very exciting.
So we can watch that and talk about
definitely.
that. Streaming is better for us because we can watch it more than once if we need to, and slow it down and find bits out that we need to find out.
Yeah, I agree. Also, we don't have to find babysitters, so we can go to the cinema.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for I was gonna say watching then. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back again next week. Bye.
Goodbye.